Everybody feels some type of way about the future, but truly, God is God. So, as much as we are loved and we are the children of God, Jesus Christ is his begotten Son. And when we speak of seniority and order and rank and everything like that, you could never, I could never, no one could ever come before the word of God becoming flesh, who was our salvation, who died for us. Nothing, nothing to us, nothing to man, nothing to humanity comes before Jesus. You know, even if it was put and displayed in the order before Jesus, as on this earth, you know, somebody came before everybody. Somebody came before this person, that person, but it don't mean that those who God loves the most. So when it comes to Jesus, though, Jesus is the embodiment of what Jesus is, the truth, man. Jesus left the spirit of truth with his people because it was very hard for Jesus to come to earth and see that it was problems in the church. It was problems in the temple. It was problems in where the people was worshiping God. The places where you go worship God, it was issues there. You see what I'm saying? It was issues there, and then you say, this is what's the issues there at that time. The issues there was that they turned the temple where you go get prayer and speak to the Lord at to a den of thieves. A den of thieves is what? Stealing. What is stealing? I want to also break down, I want to keep my mind on what was they doing stealing, but I also want to break down to you every commandment. If you're guilty of one commandment, you're guilty of 10 commandments. I didn't test it because I got faith, but I could break down to you how stealing is idolatry. Because, okay, quick, real fast. Stealing is idolatry because you're not doing what the Lord asks you to do. So you putting money before, you put money or whatever joy or whatever you get from stealing, you putting that before God, making it a God. Therefore, you're guilty of putting a God before God. You committed adultery because you slept with that God, because you had, with death, you had a relationship with death, which is a vice, which is a demon. So you had a relationship with that. So that's adultery. You bear false witness because you believed in your heart that you weren't doing nothing wrong, or at some point we can go all through these 10 commandments. You ain't honor your mother and father even. So like we can go because God is your father. So we can go through how all 10 are violated, but like we could just, you know what I'm saying, through theft, you know what I'm saying, we could find a reasonable way to say you violated more than just one commandment off that. So therefore, there is one commandment through Jesus, and it's love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if you truly do that, just like all those commandments, those 10 commandments, which generalize like how to keep man upright and keep man together. If you violate one, you violated them all, just like that. Okay, so with love your neighbor, if you love your neighbor truly, you can save yourself and know that you're not violating none of the other commandments. If you love the next person, you're not violating none of the commandments. If you do right, and then, but you doing what the words say, and you would just find out that you ended up only doing that one commandment. Because if God say don't do something in the Bible, then you shouldn't do it. I'm not against nobody. I'm not saying that oh man, this part's too harsh, because the New Testament shows you, and the apostles show you, like John, Peter, James, they show you that truly you making it off grace. And these are people who have a closer relationship and understanding of what God was saying when he came to earth. So it's like when you know what the son was saying when he came to earth. So it's like Jesus, son of God. So you know what I'm saying, it feel like if you listen to all the stuff the Bible say, you'll find yourself doing the same commandment which Jesus gave us, which is love everyone like yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to be pro-life in all type of ways, because death is murder is murder. You got to be pro-life in every way of your scenario, even to the smallest degree. Like, okay, is that not pro-life? Now, when you're dealing with yourself, you want to do the best thing for yourself. So like the Bible say, I could do all things, but all things are profitable to me. So when it come down to self, that's learning how to manage and negotiate yourself. But when it come down to what's allowable in society, is do unto others as you have done unto yourself. And even if your mind frame is like, okay, I would like to be stopped before I will be derailed from, then this is what you need to understand. Some people, even myself, I would like to stop and be derailed from a path of destruction if you can route me back to doing the right thing when I'm supposed to do. So when it comes to doing as to others as you have to do unto you, you would never want them destroyed, but you will want them to learn, just, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. You would ever want them to learn where they was being derailed from going the right path and being taken off their path. So that's what you should want, even on the worst terms, that somebody should want to just get back right. Like, don't even, like, you know, when you just like having a crackhead uncle or having a thieving cousin, like, you don't want them to go to jail for the rest of their life. You don't want them to get killed in the streets, but it might be something like they go into levels that you really can't just, you can't do nothing in some, you can, but it puts you in a lot of stuff based on what they doing. So you got to just, you know what I'm saying, love them still, but try to hope that God himself could deal with them, because only God can save a man. That's in the Bible. So only God can save our souls. So I could do the most preaching in the world. You could do the most preaching in the world. I could do the most knowledge bringing in the world, but only Jesus could save us. The word. Jesus said he the only way, the one way, man. We know all these things. And the things we need to key in on is just the simple things. We don't need to go far, because if you go far, you forget about Jesus. A lot of times you go off in these, you know what I'm saying? One thing about the time we born in, Jesus is the most current. No matter what books you read, any of that, most of it, if it's not the Apocrypha and a small few Nag Hammadi library texts that was found that kind of been excluded from everybody or for most people, then, you know what I'm saying, you really just going back way past Jesus. So Jesus is most current for us right now. All of that going into that, it's unnecessary almost, because the Lord never don't give you, you never will not have enough. You never be put to the test without having enough. And it don't take everything that people, like some people, it's going to be Pharisee and it's going to be disciples. You know what I'm saying? But even within the court of the disciples, like, you got to understand that Jesus was at the table telling people somebody was going to betray him at their table. Not that we finna point out Judas and just be like, oh yeah, exclude. I'm like, we finna go in on the Judases. I ain't even finna do that. What I'm saying is that even in the church, like Jesus had a problem with the church, and there was somebody at his table, and the people in their heart didn't even know it. They knew he was the Lord. They knew, but it's like, I almost wonder, like, I ain't trying to be like Kanye West, like it was a choice, but it was like, for us not to know it in our heart that we're going to go against God. And you know how Peter and them said, nah, I ain't going to never deny. I'm like, we got to learn from that. That's where humanity need to learn from. We need to learn from how the disciples handled when Jesus got tested. That's what we need to learn from. How Peter and how all these people said, all these other people, they didn't know. I ain't saying that we should know the future, but I'm saying our faith should be like, well, since this is put out there, even if I was the person that was meant to be there, I'd never be there based on how much I love God right now. So if it is what it is. But God, you only know the truth. I ain't gonna need to do too much talking, and I know that now my battle is to just not deny you. Now my battle is to just not make you a liar, but I know you gonna say, I know that'll be so heartwarming for my Lord if like, I can't change what he meant to do. He might not be telling me what I'm meant to do. So I gotta just still, like, if you hear it's a Judas at the table, do that open up your mind and say, well, God, it's a Judas here and God don't even mind. So, I mean, what should I do? I might as well just be Judas. Like, no, I'm not finna try to form into that role. Like, I love my Lord, and I ain't finna compete with nobody about the word of the Lord. It's not no person on this earth's message but God's. It's not nobody's message. It is Jesus, his son. So therefore, we only got the ownership that we got when we bow ourselves to Jesus, when we become in the bride of Christ, when we get in the body of the Lord, when we do certain things, then we have possession ownership. But when we not, then we only seeking to get in the possessionship. So all we saying is that the Lord, you got to be in the Lord to have authority, and with the Lord authority, he handles, like, it iterates and it emphasizes in the Bible that Michael was just smooth when he just rebuked the devil when they was disputing over Moses' body, the burial of Moses' body, or whatever the case was. Michael was just smooth and he said, I rebuked thee. And it was just over with, like, go on, man, I rebuked thee.